From KVUE News in Austin, you're watching Texas This Week with Ashley Goodo.
Good morning. The first special session of the 89th Texas Legislature started this week, and it seems everyone is talking about redistricting and what the Democrats will do to try and fight it. More on that in just a minute, but first, let's get to the three things you need to know in Texas politics. A proposal to ban THC is back after Governor Greg Abbott vetoed such a bill after the regular session, calling for regulation of hemp rather than a ban. The Senate unveiled its hemp bill in committee this week, and it's a ban, allowing only hemp products with CBD and CBG to remain legal in Texas. The Senate could vote on the bill as early as Monday. Texas lawmakers held their first hearing on the deadly July 4th weekend flooding on Wednesday. Members of the House and Senate called a joint hearing to hear testimony from leaders, giving them a detailed timeline of what happened and the missing pieces that could have helped prevent the tragedy. The flooding claimed the lives of at least 137 people in the state. Efforts to draw a new congressional district map to gain 5 Republican seats in the U.S. House of Representatives started this week, and so did the fight against it. In the Senate, lawmakers spent hours debating a resolution to create a redistricting committee on the first day of the special session. And by Thursday, the first hearing was held. In an unusual move, the Republican chair of the House committee limited how long lawmakers would hear from the public about the topic to 5 hours. But more than 200 people signed up to testify, leaving some of them unheard. Meanwhile, the Senate committee held its first hearing Friday, and the chair was blasted for having an all-virtual format for all of the planned hearings. Meanwhile, Democrats pushed back, hosting rallies and news conferences, condemning the plans to further gerrymander the state's political maps. We are rounding out the first week of the special session. Governor Greg Abbott called lawmakers back to the Capitol and gave them an ambitious agenda of 18 topics to pass bills on. But this week, the attention was on his mandate to draw a new congressional district map. I sat down with Scott Braddock, editor of Harvey Cronberg's Quorum report, the day the session started, to talk about the days ahead.
In the Senate, they're putting the pedal to the metal to start working on President Trump's directive that he wants to see 5 new Republican congressional seats drawn in Texas. It's a tall order. I don't think they can get that many, but make no mistake, this is a national power struggle playing out here in Austin because fundamentally this is about whether President Trump's going to get impeached again. If the Democrats take the House, they take the majority in this next midterm next year, the folks around President Trump are telling him that he can expect to be impeached again by the person who would then be Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, that there will be nonstop investigations of his administration by House committees, and Democrats want a chance to offer what they would say is some balance in government. Right now we have a unified Republican government in Washington, and the Democrats want to show up and be the loyal opposition if the Democrats here don't go along with what Republicans want to do as far as redrawing these maps. If they if they do the nuclear option at some point of actually walking out, quorum breaking, trying to stop this, you'll have all eyes on Austin, and that's already starting to happen.
Right. So let's take a step back, and we should know, we say nothing major happened in the House. All of the House members showed up, and that's significant because there was so much chatter about whether or not they would break quorum. They made it very clear today. The Democrats held a news conference before everything got started saying, look, everything is on the table here, and we're not saying what we won't do.
Yeah, and again, the stakes couldn't be higher on this. This is a national struggle, and unlike some of the quorum breaks in the past, I know folks have said, well, the Democrats, they tried that before, they left Austin, and they weren't able to stop the Republicans from doing whatever it is they wanted to do. In 2021 and in 2023, there were these fights, and then going back to 2003, there was a big quorum break at that time, but Republicans eventually got what they wanted. What's different this time is that you might have national Democrats really willing to put the resources into helping state Democrats with that fight. Think of it this way. If they paid for all of the fines, because there was a $500 per day fine for quorum breaking, if the National Democrats step up with money for that, it's $15,000 per month per member. And then on top of that, they'd have to pay for a hotel for them to stay in and all of that, all their travel expenses. It could be $4.5 or $5 million. That's what they would have to come up with. But think of this, if there are more congressional districts that are redrawn in a way that is competitive for Republicans and Democrats in the election next year, each of those would cost for each side something like $10 to $15 million. So helping the state Democrats now might be a bargain.
I feel like sometimes lawmakers try to act like gerrymandering is not a thing. Gerrymandering is obviously a thing. It's and it's right here out in the open, right? Where we're going to change maps. But the districts, there are some Republicans who are not on board with changing the districts because they are drawn very narrowly, particularly when we talk about those Houston districts.
When it's a fight that is one that President Trump's inserting himself into the middle of, think about the fight over the big, beautiful bill in Washington. There are a lot of Republicans who know that there are things in that bill that are not good for their own constituents, like some of the cuts to Medicaid, et cetera. But they're voting for it anyway because they've got to win one for Trump. That's the overall dynamic within the Republican Party right now. You don't want to be on his bad side, right? And on this, take it to it's another extreme on this point, because this would be something, as you point out, it would actually be bad for those office holders. Some of those members of Congress who are Republicans might have to spend that much more and work that much harder to stay members of Congress if the maps are redrawn in such a way that it gives the Republicans a shot to try to hang on by maybe picking up 1 or 2 extra seats. But there's a ripple effect, as you suggest, where those other Republican districts, especially in the Houston area and in DFW as well, if they start messing with the lines up there, it's my understanding that as many as 6 to 9 incumbent Republicans could be put in danger coming up in the next election.
You know, I thought it was interesting. One of the points that was raised on the Senate floor with the debate now is these maps are likely being drawn by someone who is not a Texan, someone who lives up in Virginia, doesn't really know Texas politics like that.
Well, we've seen this before in the 2003 redistricting that came straight from Washington. Those maps did, especially for the members of Congress. Same thing this time around. That map will probably come straight from the White House. President Trump was on a conference call with some Republicans last week where he was outlining the specific districts he wants to see changed. He said one of them might be in the Austin area, but he didn't say which. And he mentioned some of those districts in Houston and the Valley as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But do you get a sense that maybe it won't happen, that maybe some of the Republicans in the legislature are hearing from their colleagues in Washington, and maybe they won't let it happen?
I was just talking with a freshman Democratic member of the House this afternoon who asked a similar question. Is there any chance this doesn't happen? And the cynic in me, and you can just take that as the person who's watched this many times, it's redistricting. The minority is going to get steamrolled, and it's going to be bad. This is one of those situations where microphones for Democrats are cut off on the Senate floor, and you could even see the Speaker of the House lock the members within the House chamber. I was telling one of those members that they have those bathrooms that are right there on the House floor. Seems like a luxury until you realize that the reason those are there is because you might not be able to leave.
Yeah, they can lock you in. Will be interesting to see how it all shakes out. The House and Senate have now held 2 hearings each on redistricting, and when asked about the motivation to redraw the maps mid-census, the Republican chairs say they are moving forward with the hearings because the governor put the topic on the call. The next hearings on redistricting are set for tomorrow, Monday. That's Texas This Week.